All right, what is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. And in this video, we are going to be continuing on with our C# tutorial series. And in this particular tutorial, we are going to be taking a look at generating random numbers. So, what is a random number? Well, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a number that is randomly generated. However, a computer doesn't do this in a completely random way. It's impossible for it to do it completely randomly. So it's technically what we call a pseudo-random number. And so you can just think of it as it is random, and it technically is, but also technically not. Random numbers are useful for, say, if you are creating a game or something and you need to generate random numbers for world generation or something like that, or you want to randomly place stuff in the world, that kind of stuff, right? So today I'm going to show you how that works. Let's go ahead and talk about the random class. Now, the random class is the class that we use to create or rather generate random numbers. This has many different methods. You can generate int64s, int32s, decimals, all kinds of stuff. So in this case, this is where I'm going to use the int64, int32 types, because that's what these methods will return. Right? So let's say I want to return a random 64-bit integer. Well, we can have an int64 so int64 like that. And it has to be like this because there's no lowercase int64. It has to be this. So int64, we'll call this a, is equal to, let's set it to 0 for now. And up here, we're going to declare a random object. So to do that, we need to do random, the name of the class, give it a name, we'll call this R, equals new random. And that is our random object. So we have now our integer 64, we have our int64, and our random object. Let's get rid of the 0 that we assigned to our int64 initially. And we can say r dot, and then if you look in the IntelliSense, you can see that there are many different methods that you can call. But the method that we want to call here is next int64, like that. And so now we have a random 64-bit integer. The same thing goes for if we have an int32. So int32 b equals r dot next int32. Or rather, let's see, r dot next int. Aha. So excuse me. So there is no int32 version of the method, and that's fine. What if we want to do a double, so let's say a random double. So double b equals r dot next double. And so you can do that. What about a float? Well, float c equals r dot next r dot next float. There is no next float. But we can do, let's see if there's a decimal one, huh? So decimal c equals r dot next decimal. You can see there isn't one. There is a double, though. So you can see that there isn't a next whatever for every data type, but there is for int64 and for doubles. The reason why there's one for int64 is because generally speaking, you don't want to go any higher than a 64-bit integer. And doubles have just the right amount of precision that you need. So there's an X double. But you can look at the random class and see all the different methods it has. You can also give it a seed if you want inside of its constructor. So it bases its random number off that seed, which is pretty cool. But let's go ahead and console.writeLine A and console.writeLine B. And then we can run our code. I'm going to invert my colors again. Excuse me. Okay, and so now if we take a look at what we got in the output, we got a pretty large integer, and then we got ourselves a random double. Now, the thing about generating random floating point values is that when you generate a random floating point, it is not going to go above 1. It is only between 0 and 1, where 1 is exclusive, not inclusive. So it will never it'll never be 1. It'll always be somewhere in between. You can change that if you want. There are ways that you can generate a random floating point value between a minimum and a maximum that you provide, but that is not a built-in method as far as I'm aware in the random class. You have to do that logic yourself. And the random class is used there to generate like a random double, but again, you have to specify, hey, you have to do all that logic for getting between the minimum and maximum yourself, right? So that is the random class. Again, you can see that we went ahead and generated a random integer and a random double. But one thing I do want to show you is that, keep in mind, we haven't covered loops yet, but I want to show you that it does truly generate unique values every time. So I'm gonna have a loop that goes through that loops 5 times. So for int I equals 0, I is less than 5. plus plus. And then we can say console dot write line and inside here we can have an r dot next int 64. And another console dot write line r dot next double. Just like that. And so let's go ahead and run our code again. And you can see here's all the random numbers that it generated. You can see they're all unique. They're never the same number. They're always unique. And so that ends our video on the random class. Thank you all so very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.